What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, all right? We're going to do some TA, we're going to do some technical analysis, but first I want to paint a picture. You guys know I like to tell stories. I like to do story time with theories, conspiracies, whatever, pictures that I paint in my own head. I like to tell you guys my thoughts behind them, and maybe you deduce the same thoughts, or maybe you apply your own thoughts in the comments. Help me better refine this picture and better understand it, and not just me, but anybody else who might read those comments, right? Give your input. I always love to get your input, but I want to start it off by going over this. In case you guys don't know, Bitcoin.com news on X, that's a thing, right? I've actually recently started following them. I didn't know all this time. Since July 2015, this has been a thing. Huge following, 3.1 million. And if you imagine, I mean, first off, everybody in the Bitcoin Cash community, we know who owns Bitcoin.com, right? We all know who's in charge of that domain, right? Bitcoin Jesus himself, Roger Ver, right? And he earned that title. He earned it. It was given to him, but it was earned. It was definitely earned. Shout out to Roger Ver on that note. I don't know if he's in charge of this page, but he owns the domain. So you got to believe that the people who are in charge of this page are in business with him, or at least are people that he approves of the very least, right? Roger Ver is a humongous advocate for the fundamental value that Satoshi generated with the original Bitcoin white paper, right? A peer-to-peer electronic cash system, something that can be used without third-party intermediaries, something that's scalable, applicable, integratable into the world economy and finances all around the world, right? Something that is more than just a store of value. Bitcoin, BTC, is now a store of value. If you ask somebody who's brand new in crypto what Bitcoin is, they would tell you that it's a store of value. If you ask someone from back in 2017 or earlier, the answer back then would have been it's a peer-to-peer cash, electronic cash system, right? It's not the same anymore. It's changed. It really has changed. And I have a theory, right? I'm opening it up with this, even though it's all stuff that we know. Maybe there's some new people watching. Maybe you're new, and I want to open it up for that reason. But we're all aware of this, right? Here's my theory. Here's my yarn. 3.1 million followers. That's a lot. That's a lot for a crypto account, right? On X.com. They're very adamant about Bitcoin. They talk about Bitcoin and all this stuff, right? Like all these laws that are happening for BTC. There's no mention of Bitcoin Cash or nothing like that yet. And that makes sense. If it's a Bitcoin, if you're sticking to BTC, that's what it says. It makes sense you won't talk about Bitcoin Cash. But here's my theory. There's a lot of new people in the crypto space. I'm sure a lot of the OGs that have been here, they're probably, maybe they follow this page, but they're probably not like weighing in on it too much. They know who owns the Bitcoin.com domain, and because of the sour taste that's left in their mouth from the block wars of 2017, of the hard fork from Bitcoin Cash and BTC, maybe they don't pay it as much attention. But the new class of crypto investors, this cycle and last, they're looking at this for exactly what it is, news on Bitcoin. And it's all very interesting stuff. But you've got people on here who are like Bitcoin maximalists. You've got things, it's all very, very Bitcoin pro. And that's not historically how Roger Ver's been, right? He's been very, not anti-Bitcoin, just pro-Bitcoin Cash over Bitcoin. He's even said it before. That's the thing. And I think a lot of us are the same way, right? In the same spirit. It's not that we think BTC is trash. It's just in comparison to Bitcoin Cash is a better definition of Bitcoin. BTC has become something else. And if you're looking for what the actual definition or what the actual fundamental upbringing of Bitcoin is, Bitcoin Cash adheres to that far more closely than BTC does now, right? Ever since the hard fork. And here's my theory. I'm beating around the bush. Is that you've got all these people who are using this as a form of information on Bitcoin. I also think this is really interesting. I brought this up on my live stream earlier, but this is pretty cool. The Bitcoin.com casino. I think this is cool. I don't understand how it works. I think I have an understanding of how it works, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of like Russian roulette, but with jetpacks. I love this. It looks super sophisticated, guys. Like whoever made this, graphics and everything, the idea of it, bravo. I think this is brilliant. And if you notice the color of it too, it's like green, kind of like Bitcoin Cash. I don't know. Maybe they're subliminally messaging or charging us here. My theory is that in time, when Bitcoin Cash itself is really breaking out in time, when the community of crypto starts to actually give Bitcoin Cash a fair shake, in time, whenever Bitcoin Cash is replacing SWI, is flipping SWI, is flipping Hyperliquid, is getting into the top 10, and people, instead of not acknowledging it, start to acknowledge its accomplishments. I think then this Bitcoin.com news, they're going to roll out truthful, factual information that will help onboard people who are, let's say, newer to crypto within the last 2 cycles, and then from here going into the future, people who are newer into crypto, and it'll push them to that Bitcoin Cash. I think, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. I don't think it's a sneaky thing. I think if I'm assuming correctly, if my theory, my conspiracy is true, I wouldn't be surprised if this X account, whenever Bitcoin Cash really starts to grow and break out of this range, I would bet they start talking about Bitcoin Cash. They'll probably keep talking about BTC too. It's Bitcoin news. Of course it will. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start talking about both. And with 3.4 million viewers, 3.4 million followers, there's probably a good bit of these people who weren't around in 2017, 2018. They weren't around for all the bad blood between Jimmy Sung and Tone Vays and Roger Ver, right? They weren't around for any of that stuff. They're not going to look at BTC versus BCH the same way as some of these old heads do, right? They've got a fresh perspective. Oh, Bitcoin Cash is better? Why is it better? They'll be open to it. They're not just going to say, oh, it's better. You're lying. You're a scammer, right? And it is better. Bitcoin Cash is better than BTC. We all know it. The one thing that I differ from a lot of rhetoric that I know the Bitcoin Cash community holds to is that they think Bitcoin Cash will flip Bitcoin. I do think Bitcoin, because it's accepted as the original, and because it is a store of value, I think it will grow more in time, right? And it will always have the higher price. But I think Bitcoin Cash, I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if it came for that number 2 spot in time, genuinely in time. If not number 2, definitely in the top 5. I mean, and when I say in the top 5, I don't mean in and out. I mean to stay there permanently, like Ethereum and XRP and USDT, right? My thought is, when big things start happening for Bitcoin Cash, and it's the right time to start promoting the news and the action, the development of this thing that's going on behind the scenes, I think they're going to be a lot more public with it. And you've got a lot of fresh eyes here that will be open to that, right? There's people that are in charge of this that are very smart, smarter than me, smarter than you. Maybe not all of you. There's, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but there's some very smart and sophisticated minds that have been in this space for a long time. They know how this stuff works, and timing is everything. You've got the following. Whenever Bitcoin Cash starts to be exciting, people are going to have questions. Where are they going to turn to? This might be the hub. This might be the hub. And you've got people who are very pro-Bitcoin who probably follow this page because it's pro-Bitcoin. But whenever they start to see that this pro-Bitcoin page is also pro-Bitcoin Cash, I think that will legitimize it more in the eyes of the space. Does that make sense? Because if you've got everybody who's new in crypto, they lean on their OG friends, right? And the OGs, unfortunately, not all of them, not the rationally minded and maybe even psychotically minded, like some of you out there. But shout out to Smooth Operator on that note. The rationally minded people, other than them, if you have an OG in the space, like any of these guys, like Ivan on Tech, like Carl from the Moon, like Chris from Crypto, like Da Vinci, like Crypto Lark, Altcoin Daily, Crypto Zombie, all these people, Crypto Banter, all these very large YouTube accounts that are OGs from the 2017 cycle and before, right? Sunny Decree. Whenever these newcomers have questions about what Bitcoin Cash is, they just tell you, oh, it's a scam Bitcoin. Oh, don't pay attention to that. It's a scam Bitcoin. They don't, and so they take their word for it. But then whenever it's breaking out, it's seeing new highs. It's breaking out. It's not in a downtrend. It's actually breaking out of this consolidation phase. It's been in multiple cycles consolidating. And then there's developments happening with it. There's excitement going on. There's ETFs being approved for Bitcoin Cash, which we don't need. We don't want. F your ETFs, man. We don't need them to reach $1 million. You need us. That's what it is, right? We don't need your freaking ETFs, man. This new class of crypto investors is pathetic compared to what we used to be, right? We don't need your freaking ETFs. You guys need us. But whenever there's ETFs being approved, when there's other countries implementing crypto stockpiles that implement Bitcoin Cash because it is cheaper to transact, it's cheaper to buy, it's probably even better to mine at this rate. Like, it's probably more profitable to mine. I don't know. I'm not a miner, but I would guess it is. I don't know. Let's see, actually. I'm curious. Let's ask Grok, what is more profitable to mine? BCH or BTC? I would guess it's BCH. I don't know. Maybe. Depends on several factors. So maybe not. Let's see. Let's see here. And maybe this will bite me in the ass. I don't know. Yes. Think about it, Grok. Just give me the condensed answer. I don't want to read any of this. If you guys want to read all this, you can. Go for it. But profitability comparison. Here we go. Higher coin price and transaction fees make block highly lucrative. BCH price lower. Difficulty and hash rate makes it easier to earn rewards. Yes, of course, yeah. Quantitative estimate, hash rate, BCH. Yeah, so 100 terahash per second. What would that do? Can we have the conclusion? What is it? As of June, BTC is generally more profitable to mine than BCH for most miners. But also, to be completely fair, BCH hasn't been in an uptrend like BTC has been, right? Although it has grown a lot from its lows. BTC has grown more than BCH this past cycle, and their halvings are basically the same, right? So the supply for BCH is the same as BTC, but it is easier to mine BCH. Whenever this starts to grow, whenever it outperforms Bitcoin, and that's going to happen over this next phase whenever we break out, I wouldn't be surprised if that changed. But other than that, right, it is faster, it is better, and it is more akin to the white paper that Satoshi originally made. That point kind of backfired, but whatever. That's not permanent, and I bet that'll change here pretty soon. Whenever people start to piece that together and they have questions, they're not going to go to the people who are just telling them, oh, it's a scam Bitcoin. They're going to be like, okay, well, you're missing something, right? They're going to go to the places that address it. And it really wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin.com and their news outlets started addressing the truth. It wouldn't surprise me. There's my conspiracy. There's my thought. Anybody could have probably seen that coming a mile away if you just pieced together what I was saying in the beginning, but I had to complete the thought in full. Let's get into the TA real quick and we'll wrap this video up, okay? So yeah, we're about to break out. Absolutely. I think BCH to BTC, we look at it here, BCH BTC, if we're looking at this right now on Coinbase, weekly time frame, zoom out a little bit. I don't know where we're going to go exactly, but I'm going to guess, okay? You look at this, we've got a nice little pennant pattern down here. We're breaking out to the upside clearly. I would assume whenever Bitcoin Cash breaks out of this overall, whoa, okay, I didn't know. I thought I had the brush. Whenever we break out of this here, higher lows, lower highs, when we break out of this, I'm assuming BCH BTC will move up probably right around these highs here, which is right around 1%, just above, just below, but right around 1% of a Bitcoin. BTC itself, whenever it moves up, I'm assuming it will see prices all the way up at about $180,000, okay? And I do think Bitcoin Cash and BTC will top off at a similar time. Maybe Bitcoin Cash tops off beforehand, whatever, but $180,000. We derive that target from is it the 2272? I think it is the 2272. High to low here. Yeah, the 2272. And typically, with the 2272, for Bitcoin especially, it likes to wick just above there and then close below, right? That's what it likes to do, or even close above it, but something above 180,000, but right around there nonetheless. If Bitcoin Cash is going to be worth 1% of that, what's 1% of 180K? That's $1.8 thousand. That's $1,800. If we break out of here, where would be the most likely area to go to? It would be this point of resistance, which is right there at 1,642. 1,642, $1,800. Maybe we go to 2,000, right? Any and all of these targets are very comparable whenever you address the very real fact that we've been finding resistance here. And I think that with this break of this multi-cycle consolidation phase that BCH has on the USD pair, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw something that was larger than what we've seen throughout the rest of the cycle. If we saw a move that was just ferocious up to this zone, and if we see something like that, that should correspond with a price, with an amount of growth that would take us up to here, right? And it would make a lot of sense that probably we go up here, we find some resistance, we find turbulence, and then we continue to break out. Bitcoin Cash versus BTC, you guys, will probably be worth 2% or more, 2.5% or more. It'll probably be interacting with this high by the end of this cycle. And yes, BCH versus BTC has dropped its whole life. It's the one thing the BTC people have, right? Here's two things the BTC people have, the Bitcoin maximalists have against the Bitcoin Cash community. Lower lows throughout your whole life, but look at that. Look at that soft curve. Look at that. That's a very bullish phase of accumulation. I'm not the only person that has eyes. I'm not the only analyst in the world. There's people that are in higher places than me that have bigger connections, right? Roger Vere's one of them. But there's people outside even of the traditional Bitcoin Cash community who are probably watching this, and they're aware of what's going on. This is a very nice soft curve. It's what they call a rounded bottom, a frying pan, a saucer pattern, whatever you want to call it. It's one of the most bullish phases of accumulation that you could have, and we're having it versus BTC. In essence, you've been dropping your whole life, but you're turning that boat around. You're going to retrace. You're going to have some kind of miraculous recovery. I don't care how high you are by the end of this cycle. How about how high you are by the end of next cycle, the cycle beyond, right? You're going to continue to grow versus Bitcoin. And we're not the only people that see this, but it's not validated until we get higher highs. Until we get higher highs, then it's validated. And I don't think that we're just going to break out and see higher highs right now. Wouldn't that be something, guys? If we just ripped, instead of finding resistance here, what if we ripped all the way up to like 1.5% and then came down? You guys, that would be awesome. That'd freaking fantastic. But whatever it is, whether we move up here and then consolidate and then we move higher and then we consolidate and then we move higher, whatever. Something like this will validate exactly what we're looking at here, which is that we've got a nice soft curve versus Bitcoin forming, and we're going to inevitably grow. Not just 1%, not just 2%, but 6%, 10% of a BTC, 20%, more than that, right? Like in time, we're going to give Bitcoin a run for its money. We might be the only crypto that can. Most of these cryptos are actually range bound in their BCH in their Bitcoin pairings. I think Bitcoin Cash stands a chance to actually take out this high whenever things are all said and done. Not by the end of this cycle, maybe in 2030 or like 2 cycles from now, whatever, but which I guess would be 2030, or I don't know what the exact timing would be, but maybe later. But still, in time, if you're going to do that, what else is going to grow in time besides just BCH to BTC? Bitcoin is. By 2030, we'll be at $1 million. If Bitcoin Cash is at 10%, which it likely will be by 2030 of a Bitcoin, and again, I'm not the only person piecing this together, right? You can see it's happening right before your eyes. You just have an incomplete picture here. That means that you've got a $100,000 Bitcoin Cash and you can buy it now at $467. You've got all these countries scrambling, scrapping together companies and stuff that are not countries scrapping companies, countries and companies scrapping together money to buy BTC. Wouldn't they be happier if they, instead of buying at $100,000, if they just took the opportunity and bought it at $436, $466, whatever the price is now? That's what this is. That's what this is. And maybe they're not piecing that together, but the attitude is going to shift once we break out of this consolidation phase. It's not a downtrend. It's a consolidation phase, lifelong consolidation phase. The attitude is going to shift. Bitcoin Cash is not a failed project. It's not something that the Bitcoin maximalists can laugh at anymore. We don't have lower highs. We will have higher highs. We'll even take out our last cycle's high. We'll be one of the few cryptos over the coming month and a half that will actually take out its last cycle high. Most cryptos won't do that over the coming months. Most cryptos won't. And not only that, again, this thing's working in the dark, man. When Hyperliquid flipped sweet, everybody talked about it. Every big channel, it was headline news. Bitcoin Cash does it this week. Crickets. That's good. And you know it. I know I'm talking to the right community. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's good to do growth like that in the dark, because whenever everybody at the end of the cycle says, okay guys, Bitcoin Cash is legit, that's when we're probably going to correct. You know what I mean? When everybody gets on board with it. Oh, why did I think it was legit? This thing's a piece of trash. And then that's when we'll start to move up again. That's just kind of how it is. But I don't know. I hope it all makes sense. We're at 466 now. Let's get into the short-term stuff and we'll wrap this video up, all right? 21 hours left in the day. We're getting some volatility, whatever. Bitcoin Cash is volatile. That's actually why we love it, right? It's very tradable. If you try to trade this thing, just it's as simple as buy low, sell high, I guess. But it is very volatile. It's very forgiving. If it takes off without you, just wait a little bit. It'll come back, right? That's what back here. Actually, we'll have to go to the daily time frame. If you guys remember, way back in the day. Back in, was it here? Yeah. Back in late 2023 or mid 2023 here. Whenever the move happened all the way up, I was patient, man. I was super patient. I had my buy orders set. We were buying, I want to say it was, I forget what the area was, but I want to say it was like from 170 to 150 is where my buy orders were. And we got most of that low there, man. We layered out. And then, of course, whenever it started moving up, we just threw the hammer down at this price. But you can watch it go up, and still, if you're patient enough, you'll get a good bit of that back. It's a very volatile coin, right? Pumps up. If you wait, you'll have an opportunity to buy lower, but you have to seize it. And it's hard to buy whatever it's dumping in your face like that. But if you got the balls to do it, man, it's very rewarding. And then if you have the balls to sell too, not that you should ever sell your Bitcoin Cash. I haven't, but if you do, it's very tradable. It is a very, very tradable coin. It's one of the more tradable coins out there. XRP, Bitcoin Cash, even Litecoin has been pretty damn tradable lately, right? Very range bound, but it's very volatile, and we love volatility. It's good. I think it's very good. And from here, all we're doing is we broke out a little bit. We're back testing prior resistance. We're going to move up. We look absolutely phenomenal on the daily RSI. Lower lows in the 4-hour RSI, higher highs or higher lows in the price. Hidden bullish divergence, all good things. 1-hour time frames in the oversold zone. And again, you've got lower lows in the RSI with higher lows in the price, moving down without volume. Absolutely, we're going to rip from here, you guys. When Bitcoin starts to move up, BTC, BCH is also going to move up. I anticipate that we will see prices from here by the end of July, if not maybe sometime in August, around about $1,600 to $2,000. I'm thinking smack dab in the middle. Whoa, that was loud. I'm sorry. Smack dab in the middle at about $1,800. That's where I think we're going to go. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. All right, take care. Bye-bye.